Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tracy Quartermaine urges Jason Morgan to discover her great-grandson, while Professor Henry Hank Dalton hires Josslyn Jax over Emma Scorpio Drake. Here's how Monday's episode played out. Jordan Ashford updated Laura Collins on her previous meeting and expressed concern about Drew Kane's attempt to promote Ezra Boyle mayor. Tracy was frightened by the news because she had not defended Laura. Jordan, on the other hand, pointed out that Jen Sidwell, who made an offer to acquire Sonny Corinthos Pierce, might be able to aid Laura. Without Sonny in the referendum, Jordan expected Laura to easily win re-election. Nonetheless, Laura was concerned about Sidwell becoming the de facto mob boss of Port Charles. At GH, Portia Robinson stated she was protecting Drew because Curtis Ashford's bias could lead to a lawsuit against Aurora. Portia also noted that Willow Corinthos' involvement drew the hospital into the mess. Curtis eventually agreed to call off Aurora's current story involving Drew, at least for the time being. Portia called Drew to let him know she was making progress with Curtis, and she thought her good forecasts would satisfy her blackmailer. Curtis visited Jordan at the Brown Dog Bar and told him that he believed Portia was lying to him. Tracy met with Lulu in Metro Court and admitted that she was aware of Brooke Lynn Quartermaine's underage adoption decision. Lulu believed the father deserved to know about his child, but Tracy did not think it was her concern. Lulu fought Tracy's request to withdraw the piece, but she eventually gave in. At another table, Josslyn caught up with Carly Spencer, who confessed that Sonny had heart surgery in Los Angeles. When Jack Brennan arrived, Carly informed Josslyn that he was aware of Sonny's situation. Josslyn received a text from Professor Dalton, who suggested that it might be concerning the research assistant position, so she had to go quickly. Of course, Brennan kept his cool and didn't give Carly any hints about Josslyn's WSB objective. As Carly pondered on how much Brennan had done for her, she was concerned that he would cross lines and upset the WSB's upper management. Brennan reassured Carly that everything was all right and told her that she was everything to him. Lulu lured Carly away for a private talk, and they ended up in Lulu's apartment shortly after. Lulu expressed anxiety about the lies Lois and possibly Brooke Lynn were telling, before stating that she needed to discover Dante Falconeri's son. In Professor Dalton's office, he surprised Emma by confessing she didn't obtain the research assistant position because of her mess of a data model. Emma understood the information had been corrupted and attempted to comprehend how this occurred. After Emma left, Josslyn arrived at Professor Dalton's request and discovered she had been hired as a research assistant. Despite his initial reservations, Professor Dalton was impressed with Josslyn's efforts in a short period of time and believed she was qualified for the position. However, Professor Dalton revealed one condition, which was a deal-breaker. Josslyn heard she had to sign an NDA and eagerly agreed. Despite the fact that the position did not officially begin until the summer, Professor Dalton assigned Josslyn to start organizing certain things early. Meanwhile, Giovanni Gio Palmieri was meant to play the violin for Harrison Chase and Anna Devane's tango practice, as they were performing at the nurses' ball. Gio arrived late and apologized for the terrible night he had after Rocco Falconeri's ordeal. Nearby, Brooke Lynn withdrew her current demand, so Maxie was relieved she didn't have to pick between BLQ and Lulu, especially because she never would. Maxie was likewise excited when she learned about Brooke Lynn and Chase's adoption intentions. When Emma came, unhappy about her data model failure, Gio encouraged her to show Professor Dalton the previous version on her laptop. It wasn't as polished, but Gio persuaded Emma that it was worth a shot because she was truly interested in the research assistant position. Emma returned to Professor Dalton's office and discovered Josslyn alone. Josslyn confessed to working there after Emma asked her a question. Next, Gio played for Chase and Anna as promised, allowing them to practice their tango. Chase also suggested a dance with Brooke Lynn for fun, so Gio agreed to play the same song for them. At Sonny's residence, he tried to persuade Jason that accepting Sidwell's offer could be their only way out of the mob business. Jason believed it was a trap and was concerned about Port Charles's future with Sidwell in charge. Sonny stayed firm, but he wanted to be sure Sidwell wasn't behind the attempts on his life before they reached an agreement. After Jason left, Laura rushed to see Sonny and was relieved to hear that his heart surgery went well. Sunny also highlighted Sidwell's offer to buy his peers, suggesting that it would solve both his and Laura's difficulties. Jason returned to Metro Court and joined Tracy at a table, where she asked him to use his criminal knowledge to find her great-grandson. According to General Hospital spoilers, Tracy will face a significant geo curveball at some point, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, May 13th, state that Sonny Corinthos will receive a danger warning, while a Drew King curveball puzzles Trina Robinson. Jordan Ashford will also find herself in an embarrassing situation, so here's what JH viewers should expect. As Sonny begins to speak with Laura Collins at his house, he will leap to his own defense. Although Laura is concerned about the consequences of conducting business with a dangerous individual like Jen Sidwell, Sonny will explain that it is sometimes necessary. Taking Sonny out of the referendum equation may help Laura retain her position as mayor, but she will be concerned about Port Charles's general future. With Sidwell in charge, things might quickly spiral out of hand, resulting in widespread disaster. Next, Portia Robinson will surprise Trina by supporting Curtis and Drew's reconciliation. Trina will express her confusion, so Portia will attempt to bluff her way out of another tight situation. Speaking of Portia's deception, Curtis Ashford just met with Jordan to convey that he fears his wife is deceiving him. Jordan will want to avoid this subject on Tuesday's episode, since she does not believe Curtis should be spilling to his ex-spouse. This is especially true given Jordan's dishonesty, which contributed to the dissolution of her marriage to Curtis. Nonetheless, Curtis could use someone to talk to right now so Jordan could give in eventually. Will Curtis suspect Drew of blackmailing Portia and wonder what he has on her? Carly Spencer will extract a confession from Lulu Spencer. Lulu will admit that she believes Dante Falconeri and Brooklyn Quartermain's now-grown child is Giovanni Gio Palmieri, but Carly will caution her not to spread this information further. Despite Lulu's view that Dante deserves to know the truth, Carly will be concerned that this revelation would cause absolute mayhem. Lulu may agree not to reveal anything until she has proof, but proof could be on the way because she will continue her investigation. Tracy Quartermain will continue to try to recruit Jason Morgan for a new assignment. Tracy is dependent on Jason to find her great-grandson, so she'll say she'll do a favor for Sonny if he agrees. Meanwhile, Emma Scorpio Drake will suspect Josslyn Jacks of being responsible for the failure of her extra credit project. Emma should be convinced that her adversary snatched the research assistant position through sabotage now that Josslyn has been hired. When Emma begins to level allegations, Anna Devane will apply the brakes. Perhaps Anna would argue that if Emma truly believes Josslyn ruined her chances on deliberately, she should seek evidence before approaching Professor Henry Hank Dalton. Finally, it appears that Josslyn will reassure Vaughn that she can pull this off. Despite Emma's wrath and suspicions, Josslyn may believe she can handle her and complete the task Jack Brennan assigned. According to General Hospital previews, Josslyn will provide updates on her efforts thus far, but Emma may be a bigger issue than she anticipated. Dalton did not take the choice to select Josslyn over Emma for the vital duty of identifying Jason's great-grandson lightly. The stakes were high, and the family's history was riddled with secrets, betrayals, and unresolved issues. Jason, a character whose legacy loomed large over the family, had left a trail of secrets, and finding his great-grandson was the key to solving them. The decision between Josslyn and Emma was more than just a matter of skill. It reflected trust, loyalty, and the complex dynamics that had built their relationships over time. Emma has always been a steady presence in Dalton's life. She was systematic and detail-oriented, with a thorough awareness of the family's archives. Her ability to dig through decades of records and piece together disparate clues was unparalleled. She had contributed significantly to prior investigations, gaining Dalton's esteem and gratitude. However, she was overly careful at times. She chose certainty over risk, and in such an unpredictable quest, Dalton was concerned that her hesitancy might result in missed possibilities. Josslyn, on the other hand, was a wild card. She was daring, intuitive, and unafraid to pursue alternative approaches to discovering the truth. Her contacts went beyond the family's customary circles, and she had a talent for persuading even the most hesitant sources to speak. Although she lacked Emma's meticulousness, she compensated with sheer tenacity and the capacity to think outside the box. Dalton had previously witnessed her in action. When others had run out of options, Josslyn found a solution. The tension between the two women was evident. Emma intended to lead the search because of her family background and experience. Dalton's choice of Josslyn sent shockwaves across their inner circle. Some saw it as a betrayal, while others viewed it as a necessary risk. Emma, despite appearing collected, was genuinely hurt. She had devoted years to the family's affairs, and being overlooked felt like a rejection of her accomplishments. Josslyn, aware of the tension, attempted to reassure Emma that this was not a reflection of her abilities, but rather a strategic choice. The hunt required someone who could explore the shadows, ask tough questions and push boundaries, all of which Josslyn possessed in abundance. Emma, despite recognizing the rationale, couldn't shake the suspicion that Dalton's decision was also impacted by personal biases. Had he grown tired of her cautiousness? Did he consider Josslyn as more compatible with his own adventurous approach? As Josslyn got deeper into the research, her approaches rapidly proven effective. She pursued clues that had long vanished, chasing whispers and half-remembered stories that others had discarded. She visited remote communities, interviewed alienated relatives, and even walked into areas that the family had avoided for decades. Every step took her closer to the truth, but it also revealed old resentments and scandals. Meanwhile, despite being sidelined, Emma could not bring herself to walk away completely. She followed Josslyn's progress from afar, occasionally offering suggestions when asked. Part of her wished Josslyn would fail, demonstrating that Dalton's faith in her was misguided. Another part, the one that still cared passionately about the family, wanted the search to be successful regardless of who led it. The watershed moment occurred when Josslyn discovered a hidden branch of the family tree, one that had been purposefully removed from documents. Jason's great-grandson had been living under an assumed name, unknowing of his true ancestry. The news was shocking, forcing the family to face painful truths about previous actions, and the lengths some had gone to keep secrets hidden. Dalton's gamble had paid off. Josslyn's relentless search had brought them close to a conclusion. However, after the dust settled, the consequences of his decision lingered. Emma's faith in him had been damaged, and the family's once unbreakable facade was beginning to show cracks. Was the truth worth the division it had created? Dalton ultimately stood by his decision. The search for Jason's great-grandson had never been about simply finding a missing heir. It was about restoring lost history at any cost. And sometimes that meant taking chances, even if it meant leaving behind those who had always played it safe. The tension in the room was evident as Sonny delivered his warning, his voice low and urgent. The others at the table exchanged apprehensive glances, realizing the seriousness of his comments. Sonny had always been the one to follow his intuition, and when he mentioned danger, they knew not to discount it. His gaze flickered to the entrance, as if expecting an invisible enemy to break through at any moment. The air became thicker, and the silence stretched until Drew broke it with a quick, surprising remark, his hallmark curveball. Drew had a way of changing the dynamic in any situation, throwing people off guard with his surprise replies. Just as the group was preparing for a crisis, he sat back in his chair, a small smirk on his lips. "You really think they'd come after us now?" he inquired, his tone almost casual. The others looked at him, unsure whether he was downplaying the threat or knew something they didn't. Sonny's frown deepened. He hadn't expected Drew's reaction, which upset him even more. Drew's curveballs were never thrown without purpose. Meanwhile, Jordan sat calmly in the corner, his fingers tapping in irregular rhythm on the table. He had been silent since Sonny's admonition, his thoughts spinning with conceivable scenarios. Jordan, unlike the others, was not only concerned about external threats. He was also locked in his own thoughts, ensnared in a web of past decisions that appeared to be closing in on him. Every possible escape route he mentally planned out resulted in the same sad conclusion. He was running out of time. Jordan's typical confidence was eroding, and the others hadn't seen it yet. His breathing quickened slightly, and his hold on the table's edge tightened instinctively. If Drew's curveball had caught Sonny off guard, Jordan's psychological struggle was a whole other type of trap, one that no amount of quick thinking could simply fix. He had kept his cards tight to his chest for far too long, and the stakes were higher than ever. Sonny's warning had set everything in motion, Drew's response had changed the path of the conversation, and Jordan was beginning to realize that some hazards could not be avoided. The clock was ticking, and none of them realized how little time they had left. General Hospital teasers indicate that the week of May 12th to 16th will be filled with shocking revelations. The weekly ad has just been posted, and it appears that Giovanni Gio Palmieri's parentage will finally be revealed. This will definitely catch several characters off guard, but the three most affected will be Gio Dante Falconeri and Brooke Lynn Quartermaine Chase. Gio and Dante will be more surprised than Brooke Lynn, but all three will be taken aback. Gio is unaware that he was adopted, and Dante was never informed about Brooke Lynn's teen pregnancy and subsequent adoption. Needless to say, some will be taken aback by the news, and some characters will likely feel betrayed by Lois Cerullo's behavior. But how will everyone react to the individual who blows the whistle on all this? Since she accidentally discovered Brooke Lynn's adoption secret, Lulu Spencer has wanted to tell Dante. Having said that, many individuals have asked her to keep it private, including Carly Spencer, one of her confidants. During the GH preview for the week of May 12th to 16th, Lulu informs Carly that Dante and Brooke Lynn's baby is named Gio, but the following scene in the ad shows Tracy Quartermaine telling Jason Morgan, "I need you to find him." Tracy appears to be turning to Jason for help in finding her long-lost great-grandson, who is ironically right beneath her nose. Carly had often advised Lulu to keep her mouth shut about Brooke Lynn's adoption. Nevertheless, the revelation that Dante's kid is Gio alters everything. Gio is an only child with no family, after both of his adoptive parents died. When you consider that Brooke Lynn and Dante saw their son grow up without knowing he was their son and now live with the young man, Carly may argue that the situation has changed and that both mom and dad should be aware of Gio. With that said, Carly is close to Jason. Will she reveal what she knows to him? However, the two may simply catch up after her discussion with Lulu, and he may confide in his closest friend about what Aunt Tracy has asked of him. Could this lead Carly to take matters into her own hands? If she realizes Tracy is on the hunt for her great-grandson, she may also realize she will not stop until she finds Brooke Lynn's son. Carly may believe that it is far preferable to inform Dante and Brooke Lynn before Tracy finds out the truth. As a result, Lulu and Carly may divide and conquer. Lulu tells Dante the truth, while Carly confides in Jason, expecting that he will inform his cousin gently. What if Gio, Dante, or Brooke Lynn uncover the truth after overhearing Carly and Lulu discussing it? This would be the worst way to learn about this long-held secret. Regardless of how the truth is revealed, many characters will be damaged. Dante will feel deceived by Brooke Lynn, but Sonny Corinthos and Olivia Falconeri will also be disappointed that Lois did not include them in the decision-making process. Not to mention Ned Quartermaine. Furthermore, Brooke Lynn will question what her mother was thinking when she adopted her son to a family in the Bensonhurst neighborhood. It's bound to shock both Dante and Brooke Lynn that they watched Gio grow up without being there for him. Then there's Gio, whose world will be turned upside down when he discovers he is not only a Quartermaine, but a Corinthos. General Hospital spoilers hint that once the news is out, the metaphorical poop will hit the fan in PC. So here's hoping that this bandage is eventually removed, so that people can deal with the repercussions, heal and form friendships. General Hospital spoilers and updates for the week of Monday, May 12th to Friday, May 16th include missions, suspicions, and warnings. Tracy Quartermaine has a mission for Jason Morgan, Curtis Ashford has concerns, and Carly Spencer issues a warning. Missions and suspicions. Tracy has a mission for Jason on Monday, May 12th. However, Curtis is suspicious while in the hospital. Curtis lashes out at Portia Robinson in her office, not understanding why she is protecting Drew Kane. At Port Charles University, Emma Scorpio Drake receives dreadful news from Professor Henry Dalton. Meanwhile, Jordan Ashford informs Laura Collins of her encounter with Jen Sidwell and Sonny Corinthos, telling her that she is in serious trouble. Maxie Jones gets counsel from Anna Devane. Warnings and promises. Tuesday, May 13th. Carly advises Lulu Spencer against unearthing truths that are not hers to reveal. Elsewhere, Josslyn Jax makes a vow, and it appears that she may have gotten the research assistant post. In the meantime, Curtis confides in Jordan, while Trina Robinson confides in Portia. Laura is astonished by Sonny, despite the fact that Jordan may have given her some hints. Strategies and discoveries. Wednesday, May 14th, Carly and Jason plan, which appears to be in reference to Sasha Corbin's earlier reveal to Jason. Carly and Jason would find it impossible to imagine that Michael Corinthos would have turned down Willow Corinthos' visit. In the meantime, Willow is heartbroken. Is someone finally getting through to her about Drew? Drew discovers a surprising discovery, and Laura loses her cool. Alexis Davis also seeks to get a competitive advantage. Digging and damage control. On Thursday, May 15th, Lucky Spencer digs, most likely in relation to the wreck that injured Elizabeth Baldwin. Meanwhile, Christina Corinthos Davis attempts to minimize the damage. Meanwhile, Rick Lansing receives an offer, but is it legal or shady? Lucas Jones will pay a visit to Elizabeth, who is still healing from a severely damaged leg. Gio Palmieri confides in Sonny that he is still outraged by Dante Falconeri's charges, despite his apology. Counsel and reassurance. Friday, May 16th. Ava Jerome counsels Portia, while Tracy reassures Brooklyn Quartermain chase. In other news, Sonny goes looking for Willow. Might this be in response to Michael's alleged unwillingness to visit her? Meanwhile, Nina Reeves makes a major ask of Carly. Lulu clearly does not intend to follow her cousin Carly's advice. She's looking to find out where Lois Cerullo and Brooklyn were when Gio was born. She's already suspicious that Gio is Dante and Brooklyn's son. Carly's eruptive reaction to Lulu's Gio revelation sent shockwaves through the room, leaving everyone astonished. For weeks, the tension had been growing, with subtle clues and enigmatic exchanges stoking speculation among friends and family. Nobody anticipated the truth to be revealed so dramatically, least of all Carly, whose fiery temper and fierce loyalty made her reaction memorable. Lulu, who was usually so controlled and calculated, had chosen the worst possible time to deliver the bombshell, and Carly's reaction was nothing short of legendary. The evening had begun like any other at Lulu's chic downtown loft. Soft music played in the background, drinks were freely distributed, and laughter filled the air. Friends socialized, trading gossip and keeping up with one another's lives. Carly, always the life of the party, held court near the bar, entertaining a small group with one of her infamous anecdotes. Her infectious energy drew you in, and everything looked normal for a time. But under the surface, secrets simmered, waiting for the right or wrong time to emerge. Lulu had been acting strangely throughout the night, her typical confidence replaced by frightened looks and tentative grins. Those who knew her well sensed something was wrong, but no one dared to inquire. She had always kept certain areas of her life private, and prying never went well. Gio, the strange newcomer who had recently joined their social group, stood near the balcony, attracting eyebrows. Rumors had circulated about his relationship with Lulu, but no one had definite answers, until now. As the night progressed, the atmosphere became heavier. The turning point came when someone jokingly asked Lulu when she was going to officially introduce Gio. A silence came over the room as she hesitated, her eyes flitting to Carly before she took a big breath and stated, "Actually, Gio and I have been seeing each other for a while now." The words hung in the air, thick with implied meaning. For a little while no one moved, then all eyes turned to Carly. Carly's face lost its color as a flood of emotions swept over her. Her hands squeezed into fists, her jaw tightened, and her eyes burned with rage. "You've been what?" she burst, her voice piercing the silence like a knife. The room erupted in mayhem as Carly approached Lulu, her typical charm replaced by raw, unadulterated wrath. "After what we've gone through? After all I've done for you?" Her comments were harsh, oozing with betrayal. Lulu, to her credit, held firm, even if her composure slipped. "Carly, it's not what you think," she started, but Carly wouldn't have it. "Don't dare." Carly snapped. "You understood how I felt about him. You know what he did to me." The accusation hung in the air, revealing layers of history that the majority of the visitors were unaware of. Gio shuffled uncomfortably, obviously unprepared for the criticism. The audience watched in stunned silence as the two women squared up, years of friendship shattered in an instant. Some attempted to intercede, but Carly's temper was unstoppable once sparked. She shouted accusations, dug up old grievances, and made no place for justifications. Lulu, who was normally fast with a snappy comeback, appeared to be at a loss for words, her carefully constructed veneer shattering under Carly's rage. When Carly stormed out, the party was in ruins. The remaining guests exchanged nervous glances, wondering what to say or do. The consequences from the confrontation would reverberate across their social circle for weeks, altering friendships and testing loyalties. Lulu, pale and terrified, went to the balcony, and Gio vanished long after, leaving a trail of unresolved questions. The story of Carly blowing the roof off Lulu's Gio revelation quickly became legend. Some sympathized with Carly, seeing the gravity of her betrayal. Others said she overreacted, believing that Lulu had every right to keep their relationship private. But one thing was certain: their relationship will never be the same again. The incident opened cracks in friendships that were unshakable, revealing hidden resentments and unspoken tensions. Carly, who never backs down, made it obvious that she would not forgive easy. Lulu, however, struggled to regain her feet, her reputation as the unshakable one permanently ruined. And Gio? He became the ghost at every subsequent gatherings, a reminder of the night everything fell apart. The specifics of the dispute faded over time, but the intensity of Carly's scream stayed with everyone. It was more than simply Gio. It was about trust, loyalty, and the implicit laws of friendship that had been broken. Carly's reaction, while excessive, sprang from genuine hurt, and those who actually know her saw a lady who valued loyalty above all else. Lulu, for her part, ultimately attempted to patch fences, but some gaps were too deep to fix. The consequences pushed everyone to reconsider their relationships, including who they could trust and what secrets they were holding. The night Carly blew the roof off Lulu's Gio reveal served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that some facts once said cannot be undone. Ultimately, the episode altered the dynamics of the entire group. Some friendships survived, although with scars, while others became distant memories. Carly and Lulu, once close, became wary acquaintances, and their friendship was irreversibly destroyed. And Gio? He disappeared as fast as he appeared, leaving only whispers and speculation. The narrative served as a sharp reminder that betrayal may ruin even the most intimate relationships, and that some revelations come at a heavy cost. Carly's eruptive reaction was more than simply rage. It was the agony of discovering that someone she trusted had withheld a life-changing secret from her. And for those who watched it, the night will be remembered as the time the roof collapsed. Not just Lulu's party, but the illusion of flawless, unbreakable friendships. The world of General Hospital is never dull, and the most recent spoilers promise high-stakes drama, intense confrontations, and surprising revelations. As Port Charles inhabitants manage their complicated ties and perilous secrets, new missions emerge, suspicions grow, and warnings are ignored, resulting in life-changing repercussions. One of the most serious stories is Sonny Corinthos and his ongoing struggle for control of his empire. With opposing factions circling and old adversaries emerging, Sonny is in a vulnerable position. His usual alliances may not be as reliable as he once thought, as new challenges emerge from unexpected sources. As tensions escalate, Sonny must decide who he can genuinely trust before it's too late. Meanwhile, Carly Spencer, the steadfast guardian of her family, is drawn deeper into the mayhem. Her instincts tell her that danger is approaching, but will she be able to act in time to avoid disaster? Jason Morgan's homecoming has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, and his mere presence has the potential to upset the balance of power. As he reconnects with old acquaintances and confronts his previous errors, Jason's objective becomes clear: defend people he cares about at any costs. But his techniques remain as vicious as ever, and not everyone is pleased with his return. Some consider him a savior, while others see him as a menace. Jason must balance justice and retribution as the PCPD keeps a tight eye on him. At the hospital, Elizabeth Weber is caught up in a web of suspicion. Her relationship with Hamilton Finn has been tumultuous, and recent events have only exacerbated the tension. When a mysterious character from the past reappears, Liz is forced to face secrets she believed were long forgotten. Finn, who is already coping with his own troubles, becomes increasingly concerned about Liz's actions. Is she hiding something? Or is there a darker power at work? Trust is fragile, and one incorrect act might end their relationship forever. Nina Reeves continues to influence everyone around her, but her plans may ultimately catch up with her. Nina's life is on the verge of collapsing as Drew Kane and Michael Corinthos dig deeper into the facts about her role in the SEC scandal. Desperate to keep control, she lashes out, but her actions only raise more suspicions. Willow Tate, still reeling from her own tragedy, begins to see Nina in a new light, and what she discovers threatens any prospect of reconciliation. Meanwhile, Spencer Cassadine and Trina Robinson encounter fresh hurdles in their relationship. Spencer's resolve to protect his family conflicts with Trina's sense of justice. When a terrible secret threatens to rip them apart, they must decide whether love is strong enough to transcend their shared deception.